What were some of the specifics, Olivia, of what he had to say?
Well, he had a 5-point plan for getting the country back on track. That included, see if I can remember off the top of my head, getting inflation halved, growing the economy, cutting NHS waiting lists, sorting out the small boats, and make sure that national debt is falling. Now, 3 of those, I think we can safely say, are already predicted, in some respect at least, to happen this year anyway. So we know that inflation is going to go down from the very high point that it's currently at. We know that the economy, well, we hope that the economy, it's predicted the economy will grow in the next year, at least to some respect. And he didn't put a number on how much he expects the NHS waiting list to fall. He suggested that by the middle of the next year, we might be down to waiting lists of a year and a half. Well, that's not hugely ambitious. The other points, though, are pretty ambitious. To say that he's going to fix the small boats crisis is a very big promise indeed. Yeah. And it's not quite clear how he's going to do it. He came up with this another 5-point plan a few weeks ago, which included sending back Albanians who come to this country illegally. But there wasn't much more meat on the bones of that. And ministers have already conceded that actually just sending Albanians back won't scratch the surface of the problem.
Yes, indeed. Right, now, just a big word that keeps coming up in my inbox here is trust, and a fundamental lack of it when it comes to Rishi Sunak. Why do you think that is?
I think that Rishi Sunak was starting from a bit of a back foot. Obviously, he lost the leadership election in the summer. He was popular with his own backbenchers, but not popular with the Conservative Party at large. And it's taken a while to sort of win over the Conservative members, let alone the country. We've obviously gone through a pretty turbulent time for politics generally in the last few years. So trust in politicians of both parties, of all stripes really, is at an all-time low. Something that does come up when I speak to just people on the street about Rishi Sunak is he comes across as very, very slick, which to some inspires a sense of confidence that he sort of knows what he's doing. But to others, there's a kind of sense of the spin of the Tony Blair, David Cameron era, which people are perhaps sick of. So that might be why this trust issue is coming up. Rishi Sunak, it must be said, is very keen to get trust in people. He mentions trust a lot. He talks about not promising more than he can deliver. And actually, the difference between him and his immediate predecessor, Liz Truss, was his promises were quite narrow in their scope, unlike Truss, who obviously wanted to change the world many steps at a time. Yeah. But we did see a bit more of Rishi Sunak today than we have seen before, and it was interesting seeing him talk about social issues, something which we really haven't heard very much of at all from any Prime Minister recently.
Yes, actually, and that went a bit under the radar. I'm going to come on to talk about this a little bit later in the show, talking about things like family and community as well, which is quite nice, because I do think we've absolutely lost that recently. Not necessarily family, but definitely community. I mean, certainly around the London area, you could be absolutely anywhere. Olivia, thank you very much. Olivia Utley, our political reporter.